Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty and today is Sketchy Wednesday. That is where I offer you a free sketch for download. And my sketch today is based on this old layout. This layout must be 10 years old. And so here is how I interpreted that layout into a sketch. And today I'm going to be working with photos of our other cat. He's been sick, and so he's on my mind a lot, and I needed a little art therapy to kind of help me through feeling sad about his illness. And so I resized these 6 photos. Those are 2 by 2 inch photos, and if you don't know how to resize photos for printing, either through a print service or at home, I print at home. I do have a tutorial on how to resize photos using a Photoshop Elements or Photoshop product. And there are apps out there available if you don't have Photoshop at all. So unfortunately, I don't know the best apps for that, but you could do some searching and find if you need to resize your photos. So I am pulling out some papers from my counterfeit kit from this month, and if you don't know about my kit builds, I will leave links for you on that so you can check out how I go about building my kits. And I decided to cut my photos apart completely and remat them onto this piece of paper that has cameras on it. And I thought that would add a little bit more texture and detail to the layout instead of just having plain white photo mats. Now, because that paper is a little bit busy, I am going to use black ink, both in pen and an ink pad, to help add a little pop of definition to things. So I added the black outline to the photo paper mat itself, and then I'm going to outline each photo with a black pen, and my pen died halfway through, so I switched over to a different pen. And I really like, actually I should have used this in the first place, I really like the micron pens, and you can buy a set that comes in different tip sizes. And I will actually put to use the 08 pen, which is a fatter tip size for outlining photos, and then I will use the 02 pen later on in the video. And I decided on all these pattern papers, and I am cutting them down to, I think they're 7.5 by 7.5 inches for this sketch. That left just a tiny bit of pattern showing when I overlapped them and overlaid them. And then I'm trying to decide which background paper I wanted, and honestly I really wanted to use the busy background paper, but it just wasn't going to work. So it took me a while to come to the conclusion that that was not the right choice, and then I went for this more subtle, solid background paper. And then I'm adding some mixed media with these glittery Nouveau drops, and I'm using a kind of a polka dot stencil from 10 Waltz, and I'm using the stencil to add a circular shape. So you can see I kind of drew a circle there, and then I'm smearing my drops through the stencil in that same circular shape. So just because a stencil is a rectangle doesn't mean you have to be restricted to that shape. Now, my mixed media is still wet there, and so I'm adding my title anyway, which is usually dangerous for me because I always smudge the mixed media, but I'm also impatient. So I just move forward, and luckily this time I did not smudge anything. Usually if I end up smudging something, I'll just cover it up with other embellishments and stuff, and I did have embellishments planned for this layout that would work for that, just in case, but we'll see all that later. Now here's where I pull out that smaller tipped, the 02 tipped micron pen to outline these letters, and you can see as I go along how it gives it a little bit more pop against that background. And now I'm building up my embellishments for those clusters, and I like to make messy twine bundles. Now, messy thread has been a thing for a while, but here's how I do my messy twine. I wrap it around my fingers, and then I kind of roll it off the end of my fingers, and that helps it kind of stick together. And then I fluff it a little bit, and that gives me messy twine bundles that will kind of hold their shape. And that works well with baker's twine or other kind of cottony twines. So I'm going to add that punch circle with a camera on it, and I was sure to punch the camera so that it would kind of be off to the side where I planned on putting the circle. So either the camera's off to the left or right, depending on where I knew I was going to put that. And then because my mixed media is still a little bit wet, I'm just kind of touching all of these elements down into that wet Nuvo drops. Now, they weren't quite wet enough, so I'm just adding a tiny bit more to act as my glue instead of other glue. And since it's already sparkly back there, it'll work just fine. And then I took a step back from my layout and thought about what else I wanted to add. And I wanted to add little captions to each photo because I'm not going to talk about each photo independently. And I wanted each photo to read something time. So like dinner time, cuddle time, something like that, but I didn't have enough letters for that. So I will go in and add to my title. It says, "Love this kitty," and I'm going to use my pen to continue the title that says "all the times." So while I know exactly what I meant by all of that, it may not be clear to a reader, but it matters to me, so I'm going to do it anyway. And then I usually finish off layouts with kind of a sketchy border, and here, since I had both my pins out, I'm doing a double border with a thick line and a thin line, and I'm going to add my journaling in down where the sketch showed, and then I'm going to throw on a few enamel dots to finish it up, and that is the end of this layout. So I will leave you with a couple close-up photos of this layout, and here you can see that mixed media going on in the background, and it just adds a subtle fun feel to the layout, and I wanted to kind of capture some of that fun that we've had with our kitty. So that is it for today. I will be back on Friday with a fully mixed media layout for you on the Mixed Media Frenzy Hop. So I do hope you will join me then. I'll see you next time.